Hey, I'm Jamey from Stonemaier Games, and today I'm going to talk about my favorite mechanism in the game Wandering Towers, which I played for the first time at 6 players at Geekway to the West recently. Geekway Mini specifically. And I've actually played really well at 6 players. This is a game where you're taking little micro turns, and they add up to a race in the game where you're trying to get all 3 of your meeples. I'll show you what this looks like over here. All 3 of your meeples into a specific tower. None of the towers that are shown here. This tower over here, this black tower. This represents your school of magic, and these towers are wandering around, and you are trying to get your 3 meeples into this tower. And maybe at other player counts, there are more meeples. We played at 6 players, so we only had 3 meeples each. You're trying to be the first player to get all 3 of your meeples into that dark tower. And you do this on your turn by using cards. You have 3 cards in your hand, and you're going to play 2 cards. And you activate one side of those cards. And this is my favorite mechanism in the game. The towers themselves are really neat, and I'll talk about that in a second. But the idea is, say I have these cards in hand, and I want to play this card with the 4s on it. So I'm either going to choose the left side of the card or the right side of the card. The left side of the card says, pick up any tower or any part of the tower. So, for example, on this tower over here, I can pick up just the top layer. I can pick up the top 2 layers or the entire tower and move it 4 spaces because this number says 4. Sometimes you'll roll a die, like you'll say, I'm going to move the towers. You don't know how far you'll move them until you roll a die. But usually, often, there's a number printed there. I'm going to move that tower 4 spaces, and it might end up on top of another tower and even on top of some other meeples. Hiding those meeples, adding a memory element to the game, which adds to the zaniness of this game. It is a little bit of a zany game. The other thing that you can do is take one of your meeples. So this is the right side of the card. And this is take one of your meeples and move it 4 spaces forward. So this might have them end up on another tower, might have them end up on on a hex itself, on the kind of the surface level, or ideally it might end up in the dark tower itself. That's where you want those meeples to end up. You can see some cards don't have both sides. So this card only has the left side choice. Some cards have different numbers on either side. There's a vast variety of the design of these different cards where you're choosing one side or the other. And you're playing 2 cards in total. So you actually get to do 2 different things. And that combo of things is really helpful. It means that you might move a tower and then move a meeple. You might move a meeple, then a tower. You might move 2 towers, might move 2 meeples, things like that. I think this is a great mechanism. I think it's a great action selection mechanism in the game, just to give you 2 fairly simple choices, and you're doing 2 of those things in your turn that might combo together in a nice way. Yeah, I know it's a simple, streamlined mechanism, but I respect that about a game, especially when it works as well as it does in Wandering Towers. Either move the tower or move a meeple, and those things are both combined onto this aesthetically pleasing spell book on cards in your hand. That's my favorite mechanism in Wandering Towers. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you can leave another game that does something like this, or if you have a different favorite mechanism in Wandering Towers, let me know in the comments below.